All right, guys, let's get rocking and rolling here. Hope you wrote some good things down. And hey, I would love it if you went to the chat and you wrote something down that you were grateful for or something that you were going to accomplish today. It'd be awesome to hear from you just to make sure that you're kind of throwing it out there to the world. Hey, I'm so excited to be with you. And usually one of the things that inspires me to our whatever the morning Ascent message is I often try to pull it from something that we say every morning, right? Something from the affirmations or the Napoleon Hill statement, and I've kind of gone backwards today where I had a message prepared that I wanted to talk about based on an experience I had yesterday. So I know we have people here from California and from Utah and other places scattered throughout. Something crazy happened in Utah yesterday. We had, for the first time, fewer than 3,000 active listings on the MLS locally. 2,999 at one point. I happened to get, somebody got a snapshot of it that I saw right as it went to that moment. And guys, can you imagine? 2,999 listings available on the local MLS here in Utah. And you stop and go, holy cow, what is going to drive this? And look, I've been hearing it from years from George, of course, that look, if you control the listings, you control the market, you control the inventory, all of those things are very true. But as we're getting here toward the end of the year, and as we're looking at the opportunity to finish strong right now, and then have a great start to the year. And look, I think it's December 3rd right now, if I'm not mistaken. I better make sure on that. I thought it was December 3rd. I was right. December 3rd today. With the way that this market's going, with the ability that some lenders have to close deals fast, and the ability that people have even with cash right now is pretty remarkable. You could still find someone you've never met right now. Could be somebody out there you've never met that you could still close before the end of this year. And, we're getting sort of to the end of when you can really say that with a lot of confidence. I mean, obviously there's 2-week cash closings, but we're still there, that there are people out there that you've never met that you could still see closing to the end of the year. So where am I going with all this? I was thinking of this crazy low inventory that we're seeing. I know that California is experiencing some similar stuff all over the nation, really. And crazy low inventory. And of course, finishing this year strong, starting the next year, sit and think, well, what is the thing that can make the biggest difference for me right now? And one of the affirmations that we chant every day states, my SOI expects me to be their real estate expert. My SOI, my sphere of influence, expects me to be their real estate expert. So what exactly does that mean? Well, there's plenty to say about it, but I want to share with you a quick story, something that happened to me years ago. And I love this story, and I tell it a million times, and I'll tell it a million more times because it had such a significant impact early in my career. I was driving down the street of Bountiful, Utah on 200 West, right by the Bubble swimming pool. Some of you may know that, somewhere in the world of 2007, I think. And, I always, when I drove down that street, I'd look at my Uncle Joe's house. He lived right across the street there on 200 West in Bountiful. And it was always fun to see his house and say, there's Uncle Joe's house. It was my mom's uncle from Ireland. And he had this really weird little hill in his front yard, just a little rambler ranch house. And there was like half of the yard was flat. And then there was this weird little hill. And then it went flat again. And so I'd always pay attention to it. And sure enough, always looking for it. This day, I've been in real estate for 3 or 4 months. I've been in real estate and had this list of people that I needed to let know I was working in real estate. And guess what was in Uncle Joe's front yard to this day? A Prudential real estate for sale sign, you guys. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine what was going through my mind at that moment? It was just beyond painful to realize. And it was interesting as time went on with this, that I kind of went through all the different emotions of, gosh dang it, Uncle Joe. But guess whose fault it definitely wasn't? Wasn't Uncle Joe's fault. One thing I knew for sure is that had he known that I was in real estate, he absolutely would have used me. So to make matters worse from my perspective was that A, he had no clue I was in real estate. B, come to find out, he was selling a house in Bountiful. He was buying a house in southern Utah, a vacation home, and he was buying another house in Bountiful. It was 3 transactions. And if you want to know something about Uncle Joe, he's also the kind of guy that wouldn't take any deals or favors. So it would have been 3%, 3%, 6%, 3%, 3% all the way around, because that's the kind of guy he was. But I had not yet informed him that I was a real estate agent. And that's what I want to talk about first and foremost is we say my SOI expects me to be their real estate expert, but it has to start with us simply informing them that we are in real estate, right? That's one of the things that we must let them know is that you have the capability to help them. Now, initially, my experience with Uncle Joe and seeing the sign in the yard was full of disappointment in myself, regret for not telling him, and it was all about me. What did I miss out on that transaction? Well, as we tend to do as real estate agents, I know you're out there and I know you do this too. You follow transactions, right? Of situations, maybe when you lost out on a listing, or you're following what other people are accomplishing on the MLS from time to time. So, of course, I was paying attention to what was happening on this transaction so I could sit in my woes of what I missed out on. And I started to kind of raise my eyebrows a little bit on this one when I started to see, the agent was the one that bought the house. That's weird. And this house is put back on the market 60 days later as a flip. And you start to kind of go through things and you realize, darn it, I don't know if Uncle Joe was taken care of the right way in this transaction. And it became so much less about what did I, Jeremy, the real estate agent, miss out on. It became far more about what did Uncle Joe miss out on this transaction? Was he taken care of at the highest of levels? And it totally shifted the way that I view SOI and communicating with my sphere of influence, family, friends, and loved ones, because to that point, I was a little unnerved on the idea of, should I reach out to my family and friends? Should I let them know? And as a brand new agent, what I was worried about was, am I some, snake oil salesman right now? How are they going to feel about me when I reach out to them? What are they going to think about me when I call them, asking them to help support my career, right? Because that was the mindset that I had at the time. But after the experience I just shared with you with Uncle Joe and recognizing that it wasn't about Jeremy, it was not about how much money I could have earned, it wasn't about the transactions that I could have been a part of, it became about what did Uncle Joe miss out on because I was not part of that transaction? What could Uncle Joe have earned from this transaction that because I chose to not contact him? What customer service, what care? And look, if you're like me, which I hope you are, you must believe that nobody will do a better job of protecting and working with your clients than you. You must believe that. And so with that in mind, I go back to this affirmation that we shout each morning, right? That my SOI expects me to be their real estate expert. So I ask you a question, and I know some of you are writing some things down right now. What is your system and your strategy for approaching your sphere of influence? So write that question down if you have a pen and paper. What is my system and strategy for working with my sphere of influence? Now, when I say that, what I'm wondering is, how are you communicating with them? What are you writing down as far as how you can help them. What CRM are you using to follow up with them and to keep in contact with them? Somebody's phone is not on mute, and I don't know how that's possible, but it could. It's Lindsay. Okay, I think we're good now. Okay, perfect. So what system, what strategy, what do you have in play right now that has you focused on how you're going to be able to help your people? And number one, does everybody you know and love, are they aware that you're a full-time real estate agent? Are they aware of what you're engaging in? And if they don't, you must let them know. You must inform them, because that's one of the ways you can help. So my SOI expects me to be their real estate expert. Let's move on to what else they expect you to be their expert. So number one, you have to inform them. Number two, they expect you to be their expert of what's happening in the market. Think about the craziness of what is happening right now. We've got some of the lowest interest rates in the history of the mortgage world right now, just incredible. And then, of course, we have the lowest amount of inventory on the market right now. So our supply versus demand ratios are just so off the charts right now. It's unbelievable, meaning massive amounts of demand, massive amounts of demand, tiny amount of supply, which means the inventory, right? The homes that are for sale, which means prices are increasing. Prices are going up. Sellers are getting even more aggressive with their pricing, with what they can sell for. And truly, there's no end in sight right now. And so if you're thinking, and you have family members that are thinking right now, when would be a good time to sell, right? Well, guys, something's got to give sometime, and who knows when that's going to be. And the longer that this goes on the way it is, it's at least my opinion that it's not going to be a gradual slowdown or something. It will become more like a bubble bursting, which is common, right? When there's a shift in the market. And so, boy, is there a great time? When's the best time? How long should I wait? I think it would be fascinating to make sure that your friends and family are aware of what's happening in the real estate market right now. That inventory is high. The demand, sorry, I keep saying that. Inventory is so low, supply is low, demand is so high, and how essential it is for you to connect and get in touch with them and let them know what is happening in the market. Because as you do that, what's going to happen is questions are going to be happening. So if I were a full-time agent right now, I would consider getting on social media of some kind and saying something like, hey, friends and family, can you believe what's happening in the real estate right now? Did you know that there's fewer than 3,000 homes for sale? It is an incredible time to sell your home. If you think that you're going to do this sometime in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, now is an awesome time to get doing that. If you want to know how much your home is worth, just ask me. Or, I'm just giving you examples. Or, everyone, the real estate market is crazy. Have you ever been curious what your neighbor's home sold for? Let me tell you, just ask me. Hey, friends, family, do you want to know what your house is worth in this awesome real estate market? No strings attached. Just text me your address or add your address to this thing, and I'll tell you what it is. I think about what you could do and get people's attention. So I would be doing that. So making sure that you're informing, that you're keeping people in the loop. Couple more things we're not going to dive deep into, but just knowing you have an expectation to be their expert. They are expecting you to be their expert. So what else should you be their expert in? Think about the different levels of the transaction. Okay, I was in a meeting yesterday actually with some people regarding some title stuff. And out of a seasoned veterans agent's mouth, I heard them say something to the effect of, oh, agents don't know anything about the PR, the title company PR, the preliminary report. And they don't even want to know either. I don't think agents will care. Why do they need to? There's a title company. And I thought for a moment, how interesting. And I go back to, when you look at how important your job is, when you look at the amount of dollars that are being a part of this transaction, the amount of trust that's being laid at your feet as a real estate agent, I think that they expect you to be the expert of professionalism. Think about the different levels of a transaction. They expect you to be their expert in negotiating, don't they? How great are you at negotiating? What are your negotiation tactics, skills? What's the approach you take, right? Think about that for a moment. Even though in this market, you might think it's a little easier, or there might be some elements to it that are easy, still ask the question, what are you doing to be a great negotiator for your clients? And what are you doing to improve your negotiation skills? Your clients expect you to be an expert. Your SOI expects you to be their expert in negotiating. How about things like staging the house, right? I mean, it's your job to get a home sold. It's our job. So how much do you know about how the home should look, what the staging should look like? Think about all these things. What tools are you putting and implementing in place in order to accomplish that, right? We can just go down the line right now. You can look at that, negotiating, title work, loans, mortgages, what they should be, right? Should you have a grasp on some of these things? More than that. Otherwise, you kind of become a sham. You kind of just are at the surface level of some transaction that is so critical into the life of all of these individuals. And I don't mean in any way, I hope that does this. I'm talking to myself here too, but the big message that I'm trying to give to you, I hope, is I want to be a little better at being the expert, right? The expert of real estate. And it's right at your fingertips. It just comes down to, look, all these areas in the transaction where we must be the expert, and you start go, what am I doing to get better at that? What am I doing to learn more about the transaction, more about the process, and how to engage? And the exciting news is those items are right at your fingertips. And huge kudos to this group who are on the call today, because I know you're committed to your personal growth, and I know you're committed to starting your day out right and all of that great stuff. So I want you to think today, my SOI expects me to be the real estate expert. And the first way you can accomplish that is let them know you can help them. Help them understand that. Don't wait for the moment like I had where I saw my Uncle Joe sign in the yard and went, shoot. Now, I go back, and just so everyone knows, the reason I can say with confidence I know he would have used me is because he did sell his home a couple of years later in St. George. And guess who he called? And guess who he paid for 6% to? And guess who he was totally committed to? I mean, it was me. And all I had done is inform him that I'm an agent. Your people want to work with you. They want you to help them because it's one of the biggest transactions in their lives, and they want and need your help. So agents, get committed to being their real estate expert. Get committed to informing them of how you can help them and how you can help bless their lives in the transaction. And I'm telling you right now, not only will you see great benefits in seeing their lives and their transactions handled the appropriate way, the right way, it's going, as you focus on helping them and focus on helping people, you'll see great things happen in your business and your bank account and the transactions you're engaged in. And I'm so committed to that. And I know that with absolute certainty because I've seen it time and time again. So look, the end of this year, get committed to informing people. And one of the fastest ways you can do that is Facebook, Instagram. You could tell probably 400 or 500 people the minute that you hang up this Zoom call about something exciting happening in the real estate market today and how you can help people. So guys, thanks for participating today. Thank you for engaging in Morning Ascent. So awesome to be part of this great company with you. And I hope that you have a phenomenal rest of the day today. And look, if you happen to reach out to anyone today, I'd love to hear any of those victories. So definitely shoot me a text or message me or something. I'd love to hear how that goes. So let's go ahead and get wrapped up with some closing affirmations.